Hello and a very happy new year to everybody. Today is the fourth installment in Tauri Ease with Alice Baker and Dorothy Williams. They are at the moment on horseback, riding through the skies of Asgard, accompanied by Brunhilde and her gang of Valkyries. And they are on a mission. They have a little bit of a gruesome item with them, a quest item, which they got off of Odin himself. He cut off his left hand because he says that using his hand will open the gates to Jotunheim, where according to him, all of the frost giants that were ever there were conquered and vanquished by the Aesir. But apparently he's now in doubt because he says if the mother of Tears is really there, that would be very weird because only he or another frost giant could ever open that gate again. And since he didn't open it, he's not sure who did. Although he did say something
obviously another frost giant.
But he says he killed them all. But then he also said, oh no, he wouldn't do this, would he? So we will see. Maybe we will find out who he is, and if so, why he did it. And you are basically riding through the blue skies, and underneath you see, because it's winter, but this is not eternal ice, so this is not the Arctic, so there are trees and everything. And as you are riding through the skies, you suddenly see in the distance the sunlight being reflected by a huge, which first looks like kind of like a tabletop mountain, like the one outside of Joburg. But as you come closer, you realize the sun is being reflected by a giant glass castle.
Okay.
And Brunhilde points out that this is actually Odin's big castle, which was built for him by the giants. And then they refused to pay. Because the giant said, we're going to make this castle for you, but we want one of yours. So we want one of your, I think they wanted one of his daughters. And he said, yeah, sure, you can have her. And then at the same time asked Loki to come up with a plan to prevent this from happening. And Loki, being the very resourceful trickster, managed to trick them, and they had to give up their hopes of gaining Odin's daughter, and they were very annoyed. So they didn't part on very good terms, and it's basically said that giants don't necessarily like the All-Father all that much because they don't forget easily, and they honestly also don't forgive. And okay, he did trick them. Trick him.
It's kind of understandable.
He broke a contract, and that is a really evil thing to do. And then she says, and then the horses are slowing down and are beginning their descent, and you're basically descending and come to a halt at the foot of the hill on which this castle stands. And Brunhilde turns to you and she says, this is as far as we can go. We cannot go any further, but we will give you a mount that you can take. And then she says, Waftrudnir, you and the girls take Odin inside, and I will see to it that we get Sleipnir. And the ladies take their horses by the reins and lead them into this castle. Brunhilde over her shoulder says, this is going to take a couple of hours, but and then she claps her hands and a little fire erupts. Well, not so little, quite warming. And she says, if you're hungry, just ask the gnomes to bring you something. They will. The dwarves will come if you call to them. So what do you want to do?
That is a good question. Can we even see where we have to go? Because there must be some kind of, I don't know, gate, doorway, or wall, or something like that.
Well, you can make a navigate roll. Well, first of all, can you give me a spot hidden roll first?
That is a failure.
Okay, then try a navigate roll.
No.
Okay, so then, do you say this out loud? Do you talk to Dottie about this?
Yeah, Alice is just probably circling around, just trying to see something, and she's not seeing anything.
She failed as well. You see this beautiful castle.
Yeah, and we see the fire in front of us.
You see the fire in front of you. You see woods here and there. You see grass still, because the snow isn't as high. You see birds overhead. You see some ravens, but not these two. It's kind of like a murder of crows, a flock of ravens, whatever they're called. You see a little bit, you see a couple of groundhogs, kind of like putting up their noses, twitching.
They said they would come back with a horse.
They said a mount. I hope it's a horse. I hope it's not a dragon or something like that.
And why do we have to wait outside here?
Maybe it's a god thing.
Alice will just plonk herself. And will rummage through her bag, because we still should have food from the gnomes. Because
yes,
she
you do
really
have
does
some
not,
food.
She does not want to disturb the gnomes if it's not really necessary.
And make a listen roll. But here's nothing.
Holy, what are these dice? I hear nothing.
So you sit down, you find some food. Dottie stretches her legs, puts her feet near the fire. When all of a sudden you hear a and you see that someone has shot an arrow, and it's basically hit the ground right next to Dottie.
Alice, probably she would jump up and would. Do I have my cane with me? I don't, right?
Nee,
I don't think
no,
so.
because you went.
For the
you went.
drummer,
Yeah.
She would probably just grab a log or a stick from the fire, because she made a fire. There must be wood. I hope so, and it's not just a fire in itself. She would just like point around and would try to see who's trying to shoot us.
Okay, make a spot hidden.
And she would also call out, "Who's there?" And I still see nothing.
Maybe you should switch out your dice.
I have 7 pairs here. I've rolled 5 now.
Then
4
make a
no,
listen
4
roll.
now.
Dottie hears nothing.
Listen. No.
Okay.
It's
You see
all above
nothing.
90. What I'm
You hear
rolling.
nothing.
Each single roll.
Then another and another arrow flies, but it lands on Dottie's other side. Dottie is frozen in place because she's afraid that if she moves and somebody else shoots, then she may get hit.
Is there a tree nearby?
A tree. Make a
Basically
luck check.
something to seek cover. That's the main
Ah,
idea.
okay, yeah. Well, you could kind of. I mean, there are.
Based on what I rolled with my luck, no. We are in blank nothingness. Because I rolled a 96. As I said, every single die roll so far has been above 90.
Okay. Public service announcement. The players are doomed.
Yes, we are.
I will give you this. There are no trees, but what you do see are those really tall boulders strewn around, like you have like in a rockery. So basically you could hide behind one of those.
Alice would just yell, "We need to seek cover," and she would try to drag Dottie towards whatever is next that could give any kind of little cover.
The two of you run for cover, as it were. And then another, and again, there's an arrow that lands right next to the spot where Dottie was sitting, right next to the first one that was placed, and then another, and a fourth arrow next to the second one. So it's kind of like building a little bit of like a row of two rows parallel to each other. And Dottie's like, well, they're quite good though, aren't they?
What on earth? Alice would probably just in a normal voice be like, dear no, aren't they dwarves? Dwarves. We don't really need food, but we need cover and support. We're being shot at. And she would stay and make sure that Dottie and her have head down.
On a 0-1.
At least someone is rolling well.
Both Balin and Dwalin appear in front of you, pull off their hats, their stealth caps. None of them has fallen over their own feet or walked into a boulder, but they have stealthed upon you quietly and silently. Oh, the Lady Alice, the prophet, and her guide. What is it that you seek?
Sanity roll? If they sneaked on, like...
Yeah, okay, make a sanity roll.
It's a little... Oh, sanity is working. That is a 6.
Dottie rolled a 96. She loses 1 sanity. She's kind of like... Don't sneak up on me like that. We're so sorry.
No worries.
What is it, milady? What ails you?
We are being attacked with arrows.
You see two dwarves. Basically, you see their backs, and each one of them puts their head around the boulder, so like one above the other, and they're like, honestly, I don't think so.
How would you call someone shooting arrows right next to you? That is attack.
Oh, that was Björn.
And they're hiding.
No, they're over there and over there. That's Björn, that's Ulf, and that's Truste. Truste is the bard. Just wait a little, he's going to start singing any minute now. And suddenly you hear a full-blown tenor voice, pitch perfect, singing in a language that was probably not meant to be sung in. It sounds terrible to your ears, but very melodious. And then Balin and Dwalin wave to you and say, over there, see those branches close to the ground? That's Ulf. And that boulder over there, that's Björn.
Do we see something now that it's pointed out to us?
You see branches and a boulder, and then you see the branches get up, and it turns out it's actually a man standing there who's been camouflaging himself with branches, and then another man gets up, and he's been using his coat to look like, and really did well at it, to look like a stone, like a boulder. And then they both have bows and arrows. They throw them to the ground. They each take out an axe and start running at each other, shouting and going, "Arrgh!"
Alice will just look at Dottie. Is everyone insane here?
We have the same thing. We call it martial arts. Boxing, pugilism.
They're attacking each other with an axe. They tried to shoot us.
Excuse me, madam, they weren't trying to shoot you. They were trying to show their prowess with the bow. The fact that they didn't hit you shows that they were doing really well. If they had wanted to kill you, you'd be dead by now.
Shooting arrows at someone that has no weapon is cowardice and insanity. Alice will just get up and she will stomp over to the fire.
Balin hangs onto you and says, whatever you do, milady, please do not call them cowards. Because if you do, they might go berserk. And that's a really, really, really terrible thing.
She's still stomping towards the fireplace.
Dwalin hangs onto your other leg.
That's fine.
So basically you have when children hang onto parents' legs, this is what this looks like. Let's see if she can keep her composure. At 24, she doesn't laugh out loud, but you can see that she's clenched up her face because she's trying to stifle a laughter.
I rolled a hard success on strength, so I am able to move forward and pull them with me. And Alice will, at least when we get closer, she would be, excuse me, can you find another place? It's kind of rude to attack two unarmed women sitting at the fire. You don't have any manners, do you?
Are you watching them?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the two of them...
Your mothers would be ashamed of you. She will add that on top of that as well. She didn't call them cowards so far.
Okay, now let's see. On a 94...
Their mothers would not be happy with their behavior.
On a 94, they have lost their composure. Now the problem is they have been running at each other with axes and they were looking at each other. Now they both got distracted. Now you've insulted their mothers. Well, you've insulted them and said that they're a disgrace to their mothers. So
I did not say a bad thing about their mothers.
That is
the
true.
Mothers
That
are
is true.
probably good, neat ladies that would be very mad at their sons.
Okay, so now they have heard this and they are out of their minds. So the first one at a 45 manages to stop. The other one, let's say Björn stopped. Ulf at a 22 stopped as well. They dug their heels in. Snow has been flying. They both turn round with their axes. They're now a lot closer than they were. They're both about 2 meters tall. They have full body tattoos on their torsos. Blonde, blue eyes, thick hair, muscles, knotted muscles everywhere. They are really strong. They shout at you in a language that you don't understand. Balin's like, oh my god, I thought this day couldn't get any worse. Dwalin is like, maybe we should go, milady. Now would be a really good time to retreat behind one of those boulders
I
again.
am not fleeing from two stubborn boneheads.
The two men.
Also, she's looking just at the dwarves. I have no idea what they're saying, which is rude in itself because it seems that they understand me, but I'm not able to understand them. Could you please talk in a language that I can talk to as well, sirs? And she will just stand there with hands on her hips.
Balin is shading his eyes with his hand. Dwalin is looking at the sky and says, next time, you stupid ravens, you take over. Okay? Next time somebody sends for you and sends you to talk to a prophet and their guide, you talk to them so that we don't have to get involved. Dwalin lets go of your leg. He walks towards the two men.
She will just... Well, whoever placed us here just picked a very horrible place for our camping ground. If they know that these...
Balin is still hanging onto your leg, and he's like,
here.
Well...
Alice is not moving, right? She's standing now.
Björn and Ulf, they are brothers.
But they still don't have manners. I'm quite sure their mother taught them differently.
You see, sometimes
you know,
No.
when you have a sibling, I have a sibling as well. And I can totally understand how the two of them feel. Because sometimes, you know, Björn is the brain. He's like me. Ulf is more like my brother. So he's, and you know that actually Balin, the one who's hanging on to you, is
no.
not the brain of the
Not
family.
the brain. Everyone thinks that. I don't have siblings, so I don't really understand, but I'm fine with them fighting each other. I'm not fine with them attacking us.
They weren't attacking you. They were just proving to each other how good
They
their
were
aim is.
shooting arrows at us right next to us. We were just sitting by a fire. We are no fighters. We don't have weapons.
It is
I
what they
wouldn't-
do.
Should
It
I
is-
use the C word that I'm not allowed to use because that's what they are?
He looks at you. What? Okay, so let me explain. These two are einherjar. So they're one-man armies. That's what this word means in your language. Now, what do you do if you have one brother who's a one-man army and another brother who's a one-man army? They, of course, will say, well, I'm the better one-man army. So they fight it out every so often. You know,
That is
nothing
fine,
by
but
it.
don't involve just guests that are in this land that don't belong here, just sitting by a fire, and don't shoot at them again.
Let's
That
see.
is just rude.
Dwalin is talking to them and is doing obviously a reasonably good job because the two of them are now talking to him as well, and it's kind of like a shouting match to begin with. But yeah.
When they are starting to shout at each other, Alice, in her very good New York City calling a cab whistle, will be like, really, this I can't do it, and honestly I won't because we will all be deaf afterwards, but this really high pitch like whistle.
Oh, it's so loud, even Louis could hear you in the chat noir. The heads snap up of the two Einherjar, and Dwalin looks over his shoulder, and you hear Dottie going,
Oh, Jesus wept.
Balin is
Alice
kind of
will
like,
just look
Balin
over.
tugs at your coat, and he's like,
I just want an excuse for trying to attack us, and then they can go on with their fighting rivalry.
Dwalin has heard what you're saying, and he nods and he talks to the two of them. They're looking down at him, and they're like, you know, like, I'm not. They have like this attitude, kind of like crossing their arms
Could
in
I
front of their
please
chests.
have who is your mother, please? Could I have a word with her?
Balin tugs at you and he says,
Wait, their mother isn't here. They are both dead. I mean, this is Valhalla. So they are dead. They have been
but
raised by the Valkyries, and
But even the Valkyries have some behavior.
well, I mean, the Valkyries are not fighters. They are chosen. They are there to choose the fighters that will go to Valhalla. So of course they are very different.
am
Also, they are
sure-
divine.
They got taught some kind of rules and behavior, because even in a fight you have rules that
Yes,
you
but the
follow.
problem is you can't really talk to their mother because their mother is probably long dead as well. They have probably been here for centuries, if not millennia.
Doesn't matter how long you're here, you should still have some manners, sirs.
Well,
would
I mean,
just
if you
an
must know,
excuse, and please shoot at something else than us.
their mother is in hell, like
is-
everybody who doesn't die in battle.
Well, but Hale is quite nice to talk to. I'm quite sure she's taking good care of these people.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, let me put it this way. If you want to talk to their mother, you would have to go to hell.
I
So,
understand. I just want to have an excuse, and they should just do their brotherly thing somewhere else.
they're kind of like, you know, you would say that they're probably in their mid-20s, so they're younger than you. They do look a lot more
that's why.
wasted.
That's why.
Yeah,
Teenagers.
they look a lot more wasted, so they have scars and stuff, so they look a little bit rough around the edges, but they are quite young. And then basically Dwalin talks to them, And you see that they start shrinking, and then one of them basically puts his hands in his trouser pockets and kicks away at a stone on the ground and looks at the ground, and the other one basically also, and then one of them walks towards you. Let's see who it is. 1 to 5, it's Ulf. 7, it's Björn. Björn walks towards you, basically, hands in his pockets, looking at the ground, and mumbles something into his beard and then sticks out his hand.
Alice will shake his hand.
Large, calloused hand, very firm handshake, but very warm.
Excuse accepted. Please shoot at something else than us.
Dwalin keeps talking at him, and he's like, he nods at you, he smiles, he runs back to where his bow and arrow is, he picks them up, he looks around, then he points at a raven and he takes aim.
Stop! Alice would just yell.
Dwalin shouts something, and then Björn lowers his bow, he looks at you completely confused.
You're not shooting animals for... What on earth?
Dwalin explains this. He looks at you he looks at Dwalin, he looks at you, he looks at Dwalin, he's completely puzzled. Then he's like...
Alice will try to pick out a tree that is far away from our fireplace. You see that tree there, and she will just describe it, and... You stand next to me, you try to hit that.
Dwalin explains, Björn nods, his face lights up, he runs to you, he stands next to you, towering over you, he looks at the tree, he takes aim, and he shoots, and on a 60, he does hit, but of course Ulf will not be bested. Ulf runs to get his bow and arrow, stands next to his brother he stands next to you on the other side, aims at the same tree, takes a look at his brother, loosens the arrow, and on a 0-3, not only does he hit the tree, he hits the arrow of his brother and splits it. And then he's like, ha ha, and says something, and the other brother looks at him, Björn looks at Ulf, and Dwalin translates, he's calling him a show-off. And Björn looks at you expectantly, and Ulf also.
1 to be 1, you're both show-offs.
Ulf looks at you, and
although quite impressive, I have to say, from both of you.
Dwalin translates, and Ulf is kind of like preening. And Björn is annoyed, so he shoots another arrow. And on a 91, he misses the tree. Ulf starts laughing. Björn basically just across you, over your head, punches him.
How tall is Ulf?
They're both over 2 meters tall.
But still enough that when he starts laughing, Alice would just react and would give him a slap on the back of the head.
Okay, he is...
not a fist, not... You know how you do with
Yeah. Dwalin goes kind of... Balin is like... Dottie...
Alice would be like...
And Jesus
you should
wept!
Not be so mean to your brother. What would you do without him?
Dwalin translates, and interestingly enough, Ulf, if he could, he would be the size of a mouse now. He looks at you and he's like completely, oh my God. And then...
Come on, shoo-shoo.
And the two of them basically look at each other, grab their weapons and run. And then Dwalin says, well, you see, the thing is, in Viking families, it's the mother who really calls the shots and the older sisters. So you intimidated him really badly.
Alice will just throw her hands in the air and she will stomp over to the fire again and plonk herself down.
Dottie sits down next to you and she's like, I mean, I will never, and even if I grow to live to be 1,000 years old, the only thing that I can say is it was never boring with you.
I did not call them cowards. I was quite proud of me.
That you did not, and I would say that they probably are not cowards if they run at each other with axes like that.
Well, that I would call stupid, but warriors.
But cowardice is something different than stupidity, she smiles at you.
The cowardice was the shooting us part. Honestly, after the explanation, also stupidity.
Maybe they were trying to impress me.
By shooting you.
By not shooting me, by actually missing. On purpose. And twice. Each
And
time.
freaking us out with that. That's not impress somebody.
What do you know what the wooing rituals amongst Vikings are like?
I am not a Viking. You are not a Viking. We don't even look like Vikings.
That's true. That's true. That's true. You don't look anything like a Viking. You're not even
And we
blonde.
know they both have good eyes. If not, they could not have done that shot.
Yeah, that's why they...
No, there's no excuse for their behavior. No. I accept that they're sorry. Still no excuse for what they've done. But
She smiles at you and
thank
says-
you. She will look at the two dwarves. Thank you for helping us.
Balin has to sit down. He takes out a little flask, takes a big swig. My word. And Dwalin sits down next to him.
Other people
They're there.
next? Are there other weird people here that might attack us during the night that we should be aware of?
Well, there are thousands of those.
Again, looking at Dottie, why on earth did she plonk us in the middle of nowhere just with a
It's
fire?
not the middle of nowhere. You're sitting right in front of Odin's. This is the heart of Asgard. You're not in the middle of nowhere.
If you, and then he basically takes you by the arm and guides your gaze towards the east.
That is where the Lady Freya has her domain. Over there, that's where Thor lives.
And you can see when you look and you strain your eyes that there seem to be hills with buildings on them. Not as grand as this one, but stately homes.
And the wall to Jotunheim is...
Well, to the north, of course. And he points north. You can't see it from here.
I still don't get why we have to sit outside while the rest is inside of the castle. If we are important to all of you guys...
You
that
took
at least
exception to Ulf and Björn. This castle is full of them.
I highly doubt that in the castle, in rooms, they would shoot at us.
The two of them look at each other and they say, no, it's more throwing daggers in there. You're right.
Looking at Dottie, can you tell me again why on earth we are doing this?
Because we seem to be their only hope?
That's not a way to show that. The only one treating us well are these wonderful people. Pointing at the two dwarves.
Well, Odin gave me his left hand and she holds it up. It's still dripping blood.
Which is gross.
Well, but he said that this was the only way we could go in there.
I'm not even trying to understand why Odin was stuck at a tree.
Well, because he was trying to see far and wide. He was looking for the Mother of Tears, but he told us he couldn't see her.
If a god like that is that weak to not even save himself, he could just have healed himself and walked there and opened the door for us like a normal person would do.
Dwalin looks at you and he says, "May I interject something?"
He's not a person, I know. He's a god, makes it worse.
No, he's not powerful anymore. They have all been losing their power. They are weak. They all want to die. They need to go, but they can't, which is why they are all losing their abilities.
Still, in our world, if someone hacks off their hand, this is rather horrific and scary. It's not normal.
There once was a time when offering one of one's limbs was one of the best sacrifices you could give to a god.
That is thousands of years ago, maybe. I don't know.
Dottie
She knows, probably, but
Dottie puts her hand
it's
on
far in
your
the past.
on your arm and she says, "Alice, I can sense a certain anger building in you."
I don't know what you mean.
We are here now. I have accepted the duty of prophet in order to ensure that it wouldn't be Pamela. This has brought me here. I'm so sorry that you have to be here as well.
You don't
Please?
have to be sorry. I'm here to look after you as far as I understand, which I'm happy to do, but which makes me even more angry that they are putting you into this.
Balin and Dwalin look at each other and Balin says, "You know what, Dwalin? I don't know what it is these days, but in the past, remember that one prophet we saw, Abraham? He was a lot easier to deal with. Yeah, he was also blind."
And a man, would Alice just add.
Are you saying that men are better than women? That's an interesting idea.
No.
Tell me more about it, because you would be very much alone with this point of view in here. I would be very careful to whom you say this.
That's not what I said. It's just easier to shove them around than women. Doesn't mean they're better.
The two of them look at each other and go, "Ha ha!"
Some might say they're more stupid. Or naive. Whatever you want to say.
I would say
Still.
they're probably more easily manipulated.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, but anyway, now you are here, and I'm pretty sure that Brunhilde will be back in no time with your mount.
If it's not a horse, we will walk.
Well, it is, and it you will see, it's a divine horse.
Can you just tell her that we will walk?
I don't think you want to walk. It's going to take you months. At that
It
moment,
already
you hear,
feels like years.
you hear the noise of a very, very large animal, horse-shaped.
Alice
turn
doesn't even
around?
want to. No. She's just rolling her eyes. She doesn't even want to look. I'm not sure if Dottie is looking.
Let's see. Maybe she's just closing her eyes. 53. What's her? Oh yeah, or her pal. She keeps her composure. She looks around. She says, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs. At least it's not in the least spider-like. You hear Brunhilda's voice. "Hello, I'm back. And I brought you Odin's own horse."
Alice will just shake her head. She will just lean back and she will just cross her arms. Maybe take another bit of bread or whatever was in the backpack and just keep on eating, ignoring, steaming. So I would say.
So Alice is annoyed.
It's a mix between annoyed and very angry at the world. Again, this why us, and especially why Dottie. And
Well,
yes,
Dottie-
I get Dottie. No,
It's her
honestly,
own fault.
if it would be Pamela, Alice would have exactly the same reaction.
I have posted in the chat in this Zoom connection
I
a
just saw
picture.
something.
Okay, cool. Of what you're
Yep.
seeing.
It looks like something went very wrong.
Are you saying this out loud?
She's not looking. Although
Okay.
with the 8 legs that Dottie said, it's like so a mutant horse where an experiment went horribly wrong. Awesome. Highly doubt they even know the word mutant in
Yes,
that
they
kind of world.
don't. And Brunhilde says, this is Sleipnir. He is the son of Loki. And he's the best of all horses. With him you can go anywhere. Also to Hale if you need. You can have him.
We don't want him.
Well, if you want to go to Jotunheim, you will need him.
Alice will now look with a very skeptical view, and in her mind it doesn't look like the horse could really run, because in her mind it's like stumbling over their own feet because it's too many.
It is a little bit taller. It's more like those quarter horses, those really big ones,
Yeah.
size-wise. But other than that, it looks like a normal horse, except it has 4 front legs and 4 hind
Front
legs.
That sounds
I
like
know.
chaos to me. So it's like, and that's Alice. At least in her mind, it's like this. If it goes too fast, it will just fall with us probably.
And Dottie gets up and she walks towards the horse and slowly reaches out her hand and basically lets Sleipnir sniff her, and then she basically starts stroking his muzzle, and horses like that. And then she says, can we have a saddle and bridle? And Brunhilde says, no, you just ride barebacked on him. He will not take a saddle and bridle. And Dottie blanches at the mere thought, and then Brunhilde smiles. She says, he will not drop you.
Alice will shake her head again, and she will just go on eating. I'd rather think he will drop all of us, including themselves.
It's definitely a stallion, you can tell.
I'm really sorry, buddy, that they did that to you.
I don't think he's intelligent enough to actually converse with you.
That would be fine.
And what do? You keep eating.
I keep eating, but looking at Brunhilde. So walking by foot, I heard, takes months. So this will take then a few days less.
Oh, you will be there in no time. You sit on his back, you tell him where you want to go, and almost in an instant you will be there.
So he's
Maybe
not
two
running.
instances.
He's beaming himself?
She looks at you puzzled. I don't know what that means.
Like going poof and showing up poof somewhere else?
I've
And
never
you
seen
can't
him-
see the travel?
I've never seen him go poof. He appears without sound.
But it's still the same idea.
He is thought. Odin sits on him and thinks of where he wants to be, and Sleipnir will take him there.
Alice is just in thoughts like, I want to go home.
Sleipnir looks at you and tilts his head.
Well, don't look at me. She's your master. She will point to Dottie. I'm just a guardian. But you will not fall off the back, Dottie. Riding a horse without saddle is not a problem.
So do you want me to go alone?
No.
All right then.
Now.
Well, all right, let's finish your meal.
Well, you should eat something as well.
She starts eating, but you can see that she's really giddy. Balin and Dwalin are engaged in conversation with Brunhilde, and you have a feeling that they are both smitten with her. She is a very beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically kind of like, a little bit red in the face and kind of like, stumbling over their words and looking at the ground a lot, and, let's see, they are both magical. Oh, no.
Oh no, doesn't sound good.
Balin suddenly holds a leek in his hand, and then he basically hides it behind his back. So he was probably...
The leak might be interesting for the horse.
Yeah, but he might not have wanted to produce a leek for the lady Brunhilde. Maybe he was more thinking along the idea of roses or something, flower. Leek is, the Welsh really like their leek. It's the national...
Doesn't it have a flower in spring
does.
when it blooms?
It does, yeah. But this one doesn't. It's ready to eat, so he's kind of like hiding it, and Dwalin kind of goes... Let's see if he does any better. On a 21, he does produce a white rose. And he gives it to her, and she takes it, and she smells it. And Balin is kind of like looking at the ground.
Alice would motion over to Balin.
Mm-hmm. Balin looks at you and he comes over with his leek trailing behind him.
That would be good for the horse probably, but two things. I would be curious if you have something as snackage for the horse, and second, maybe something tasty for Brunhilde. She's strong. She needs substance. Not a flower.
He basically looks at you and he smiles, and then in his right hand appears a bag of grain, oats.
Alice will take it and give him a big smile and a thank
He
you.
beams at you, and in his left hand appears a pheasant, well cooked.
Perfect. Much better than the rose.
He nods and he walks up to her, and he basically then bows his head and lifts the pheasant towards her because she is a lot taller than him, and she smiles at him. She accepts it. She starts eating it. Dwalin kind of goes because she has to drop the rose in order to eat, so she puts it down. She doesn't drop it. She puts it down.
She could put it in her, I don't know, belt or cloth or whatever.
She
maybe
actually
just-
she actually puts it in. She has those very high boots, so she puts it in there. So it's kind of like on the outside, like people might wear a dagger,
Yep.
and a rose does have thorns. So, but she also, fair and square, she offers one leg to each dwarf of the pheasant. So the three of them share a meal. And Dottie says, "You're really good at this. You're like your mother, a matchmaker to the bone."
Well, and Alice will put or basically hand over to Dottie the sack with the grain for the horse. That is snackage for your new friend. Not all at once.
Okay, Mom. She takes out her handful, leaves the bag with you, goes to the horse, holds out her hand. Sleipnir loves her instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also see that he kind of looks at her and he says, "Where's my apple?" She goes, "I don't have any apples."
A leek?
And she
Alice
goes
will
over
hand
and
her the leek.
tries
and
the leek.
see.
He eats the leek,
Is,
but
but
he
it's
then
not
kind of
as good as an apple.
It's because it's kind of more like isn't it like from a family perspective? It's more like,
I think more like
onions and
right?
stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
So he's not enjoying it. He eats it, but he's not enjoying it. But he does love the oats. And then she says, "Well, you know what they say. Love is expressed through the stomach. You are the perfect giver of gifts. What would I do without you?"
Well, fall off the horse probably, but we will manage together. And Alice will finish her food and get up.
85. She just about doesn't miss her power check. She's like, "What do you mean fall off the horse without you?"
You've ridden bareback before?
No, have you?
Yes.
Why am I even asking?
I grew up with horses, you did not. Although I have to say, you quite decently were around when we had our nice adventure at my old school.
I didn't fall off then.
No, but there
See?
was a saddle. And only 4 legs, not 8.
Well then, should we get started?
Let's do that. Alice will make sure the backpacks are well packed again.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, you two. And she would say goodbye to the 2 dwarfs.
The dwarves bow deeply. At your service.
We much appreciated all your help and support.
Well, I'm pretty sure we'll see each other again.
And she will give Brunhilde just a nod and will walk towards the horse and will get up and will
Brunhilde
help
nods to you as well, and then
Dottie
she watches
to get up as
2 of
well.
you to get up on the horse, and then she raises her hand and basically gives you one wave, and she says, "May the gods be with you."
Mhm.
And then what do you do?
Alice will try to not think. Well, I know what Alice is thinking of, but Dottie is the one. So
What is Alice thinking of?
Alice is thinking of home. The thing is, we don't have. Alice doesn't have a vision. Dottie has the vision. Dottie knows how it looks where we have to go. That's also why she pointed out that Dottie is the master. Alice doesn't. She has a description, but she doesn't have pictures in her head with that.
Good point.
So it would be Dottie who needs to make the decision on where we go, and Alice would also point that out to the horse and to Dottie. And she would also add for Dottie, because if I do this, we are standing in front of our New York apartment.
I wonder if he would be there as well. And she points to the horse, because that would be interesting.
New Yorkers have seen weirder things.
8-legged horses? I'm not so sure. But at that moment, you feel like there is wind rushing over you. Not a storm, but just a lot of wind. And it tears at your hair, it tears at your clothes. And then the wind subsides. And in front of you, you see a tall, incredibly tall wall made of sheer ice. And there's There's a gate in that ice, which is also made of ice. It's got 2 doors, basically. And there's a huge lock on it.
well, we would land in front of the door.
You do?
Do you wanna take that gross thing at the lock, or should I? Alice will just jump off the horse and she will just ask for the hand.
Yeah, she without your help, she would have actually fallen face first into the snow, which is actually quite high here. But you steady
You
her.
stay up there. Don't move. Well, give me the hand and then don't move. Both of you.
She hands you the hand. She hands you the hand.
I will take the hand. I will give the horse like little scratches at the top of the nose, just like be right back. Don't throw off. And then I will walk over to the door and just try to figure out what to do with the hand. I just slap it at the lock, or is it like modern technology? You have to put it in so it can scan the fingerprints.
No, it doesn't seem to have a fingerprint scanner. But it does look like it's a lock with kind of like where you could put in a key in theory, but underneath the lock there is also something like a handle to hold on to.
She will look at the hand, which is dead. Hopefully it's not moving.
No, it's not. It's still bleeding though, so you would have expected it to stop bleeding by now, but it hasn't.
She would very carefully have it then far away from herself.
And
Can
it's
she
still warm.
she will just drop a little bit of blood on the lock and see what happens first.
Nothing.
She would just basically slap the hand on the lock.
So basically with the palm.
Yeah.
The okay. So basically you do that, and as soon as the palm reaches or touches the lock, the fingers basically contort and grab the lock.
I think with a squee, Alice would jump back and let go of the hand.
The hand stays where you put it. And then you see, basically, you know how locks have kind of like there's the part that comes loose and the part that is stuck. So it basically turns to the right, so the kind of like the U-shaped top comes off and the lock falls to the ground and the doors swing inwards. Oh, well, doors. It's a gate. It's a huge gate with 2 doors.
Do we take the hand with us so we can also get back?
The lock is now lying in the snow. You could pick up this. You could pick up the lock. You could pick up the hand. You could pick up both.
I think Alice would leave the lock, but she would be scared that when we walk in the door, hey, it's magic here. Then the door just like bam. Like, goodbye, you will never see Asgard again. I think she will grab the hand again, just like, let go, let go, let go.
The hand does let go.
And I will bring it back.
Okay.
And give it back to Dottie, just in case.
Dottie puts it back in the bag where she's kept it. So
and Alice will climb on the back behind Dottie. Time to go.
We need to go in there.
Yes, doors are open.
She closes her eyes. But in this case, like, you don't feel this stream of air. Sleipner starts walking. And he walks through the gates. And then he just stops. In front of you, you see a completely frozen land. There is cold wind blowing. Cold wind. It's really cold. Very soon Sleipner's mane is frozen over. But he doesn't seem to mind. It's, he's just standing there, not even tramping about in order to keep himself warm. He's just standing there, enduring this whole thing. And you see, it's also dark. When you turn around, you see that there's light out because the sun hasn't set, but in here it's dark. It's nighttime. And it's snowing. And you also see that there are buildings. They are really huge. They're extremely tall, 20, 30, 40 meters tall, with huge gates, each at least, I don't know, maybe 10 meters tall. You can see windows, but it's all completely iced over, as if somebody really flooded the place and then quick froze it, so that it's really, it's not even an icicle, it's like an icicle 10 meters long that's hanging from one of the rafters. So it's really bizarre. And you cannot imagine how anyone could live here because it's ice cold.
Still, when you say buildings and windows, is there any kind of light to be seen behind the windows?
Please make a spot hidden.
Okay. Who wants to try, dear dice? Come on, guys. We
Nobody's
can do
volunteering.
this. No.
Not that you can see. Then Dottie leans forward and she talks to Sleipner and she says, "We're looking for frozen rivers. Are there any frozen rivers that you can take us to?" And then he starts walking again. Mm-hmm. And you walk through this cyclopean city, because this is what this is. It looks like a city. And it's perfectly quiet when you're out of the wind, because the wind's blowing, but as soon as you end up between two buildings, basically to the side of the wind, so perpendicular to the way the wind blows, it's really silent, and it's also not as cold anymore, because it's really the wind chill that cools you down. And then you also notice as you look down that the ground that Sleipner is walking on is actually frozen. It's ice. He's walking on sheets of ice, but his footing is sure. Maybe it's good that he's got 8 legs, and I mean massive hooves. And so the two of you plus your horse friend walk through this city, and after a while, and this is now not happening quickly, so this is you have a feeling that normal time is passing normally. So about 45 minutes or so later, you see that it seems like you're coming to the end of the city, and the houses are beginning to recede, and you, or the horse rather, and you two step out onto what essentially looks like a flat land full of frozen rivers. And we're talking wide rivers. And this now, here the light has also changed. It's no longer completely dark night, but it's more like early morning, so it's blue light. But the sun hasn't yet risen over the horizon, so that's what this looks like. And now you can make a spot hidden again, please.
Wow. That is a hard success.
Okay.
The first roll that looks decent. Yay. No, I did a sanity check with the hand when it grabbed the lock, and it was a 19, which is also quite good, but...
Okay, so yeah. It's fine, because it's kind of gruesome, but you have seen... I mean, you got embraced by a Wendigo.
Still, it's a hand without a body attached, and it's moving.
You're fine. You don't lose any sanity over this.
No, it's still gross. She still
It's
grossed
gross.
out a lot.
Yeah. And we also have determined that your temporary insanity is you cannot stand the sight of blood.
Yeah, so Alice was really struggling. That's why I rolled, because I said, let's see how well she does. But 19 is quite good, so...
Yeah, that's what is your sanity anyway?
It's 53, so I
Oh
think
yeah, that's very
19
good.
is decent.
That's more than a hard success.
Yeah, so...
Basically,
hidden. Also hard success.
and you see something that looks weird. It looks like a tree. But the tree is shaped more like an hourglass, so you can see its branches are basically going left and right, and then the trunk is kind of like a waist of a person, and then basically the roots grow out as well again and are really big, but it's not a real tree. It's made of ice and it's see-through. So basically, whatever light is already coming over the horizon is basically refracted by it. You can now make
Alice would at least point that out to Dottie as well.
Let's see if she sees it as well. She gets an advantage because you're pointing. On a 0-5, she sees it even without the advantage, and she says, "Wow, that's weird, isn't it? It's a frozen. It's an ice tree." You can now make a history, archaeology, something like that roll.
Oh god, that's all horrible. We will take then history.
What have you got in history?
15.
Okay, so but you did do arts and humanities. You did put values into those, didn't you?
I didn't, as it seems like, at least not that much. I'm just checking. Science.
Because you should at least have archaeology and stuff.
I have a lot of points in history Egypt and history art.
Okay, then
And a
please
little
take...
bit in history Mesoamerica. I highly doubt any of these three are helping at the moment.
Art history would.
Okay, then that
Please
would be
use this.
25.
Yeah.
Still, definitely a no, because that is a 97.
Yeah, but you get an
Whatever
advantage.
I would have.
You
Even
get
only
advantage.
with a- Okay.
You get
then let's
advantage
see.
on this, so you can re-roll the tenner.
87 is still a no on whichever ground we have.
Okay, okay. So let's see. She has
I have no stats that high. Not even nearly that high.
on a 35 over 5. She doesn't find out what this is either. So the two of you approach.
It looks peculiar and interesting. That's the
It
only
looks
thing.
peculiar and interesting. Yes.
So we would slowly approach.
You do, and after about 20 minutes or so, you reach. So you basically are now crossing those frozen rivers, aiming towards this frozen tree thing. Or the ice tree, I should say. It's not a frozen tree, it's a tree made of ice. And as you approach, you can make another spot hidden for me, please.
I'm nervous to pick dice now because they're all... Oh, that's at least a normal success.
Okay. You don't see it, but Dottie rolled a 25, which is a hard success, because her level is 36 there. She says, "Look." And she points and she says, "It looks like there is somebody inside that tree." Now roll again with advantage, please.
That is a hard success.
You see it too.
Or I can even give 2 luck and it would be critical success.
You don't need to
Okay.
spend luck on this. You also see that it looks like there's the shape of a person frozen in that tree.
We should have taken a weapon with us, like an axe or so.
You approach further, and then you're just basically 10 meters away from that tree, and you see inside is, because it's It's ice and it isn't, because when you look through an ice cube, it kind of distorts what you see, but this is quite clear. It's more like looking through glass. And you see a woman in there. She looks to be maybe 70 or 80. Long, very thick, very white hair. She's got a lined face. Her eyes are closed, and it looks like she's sleeping.
So how do we get out? How do we get her out of this? Alice would have a look at the tree. You say it's completely made of ice. We could use Brunhilde and her fire making now. You said around us it's flat land, so no trees or anything where we could gather.
You haven't
fire.
seen any vegetation.
I think definitely in front of the tree, at least Alice would get off the horse and she would help Dottie in case she wants to as well.
She does. She gets off.
Any ideas how to melt a giant tree?
Not as such. She looks
Because
around.
based on what Alice has with her in her pockets, that's nothing that would really help. Her tiny pocket knife would not really do much in this case. Should we just knock and see if we just need to wake her up?
Please do.
Alice will just knock against the glass, maybe also to get a feeling how robust it is.
Well, first of all, you notice it's definitely ice. It's really cold. It's fairly robust, you would say, but
so
could
not
be melted.
only so it's like frozen completely. It's not like only an outer shell and the rest is hollow.
No. It seems like she's frozen in solid. And now you can make a listen roll.
It's getting better with the rolls. That is a hard success.
You hear footsteps approaching.
Alice will turn around
You see
and
a
have a look who's approaching.
lone
She
figure.
suspects someone who's a bit taller than she is.
No, unless
Oh.
it's a Scheinriese, because they are still a ways away, and they are not very tall. They are coming towards you at a brisk pace.
Alice would do a step in front of Dottie just to make sure that Alice is between.
I am not surprised. And as you watch, you see a man coming towards you.
Could I, even while he's walking or quickly walking to us, Alice would just look at the horse. Maybe your feet against a tree would be a wake-up call for her. Give it a go. And Alice will just motion and
Roll
try
a
to.
D100 for me, please.
Animal
And
handling. That's a stat that is not. Why
That's
is
a
there no
stat that
animal
you don't
handling
have.
here?
Roll a D100 anyway.
That is a 15.
What's your psychology stat?
66. So
Okay,
if
cool.
I I give 2 luck, it would be critical.
Then use those
Success.
2 luck.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're trying to talk to a horse.
Yeah.
We know that you can handle animals. You've done this before, so yes, and possibly
But
even
it's still
yeah,
a
it's-
horse.
and it's a divine
It's not Maeve,
horse.
because Maeve understands,
Yes,
I know that.
absolutely,
but
yeah. And
I think Alice would motion with her feet, her feet to kick against, maybe to give the horse the idea on what to do.
And this man is approaching you. And he is now maybe 10 meters or 5 meters away from you. He isn't very much taller than you are. He is extremely handsome. He has very long black hair.
Black hair, okay. Does he look does he fit in this Nordic Viking scenery?
He does not look like any, like, you know, remember you saw this tall man, Tyr, who was kind of like, and blonde, and, you know, and you saw Odin, who was probably blonde when he was younger, but now he's gray-haired. This man looks very different. So he's got brown eyes, he's got dark hair, kind of like a little bit of a sallow complexion, and he's got the most beatific smile. The Lady Alice, it's been so long. I've really wanted to meet you. And he bows deeply.
Alice will still make sure she's between Dottie and that man, and she would just whisper to Dottie, come on, you two, try to get her out of there. Because based on... Or rather, Alice would look at Dottie. It's her, isn't it? You've seen her.
Yes, that's her.
Then try to wake her up and get her out of this. We have nothing that would help to... I don't have my Colt with me. I don't have my pistol with me because I did not plan to use it.
No,
we just went on an expedition into a...
They're not there. Yes, yeah.
A little cave with a little water.
My lady, do not exert yourselves. Don't trifle with that mere woman. I can offer you so much more.
Alice would just, again, hands on the hips. And who are you?
You're a feisty one. I love that in a woman. That's the best quality.
Again, who are you?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Of course, everybody knows the great Lady Alice, but it would be presumptuous of me to think that somebody as great as you would know me. Small Loki. I'm just the most unimportant of the gods. And
she would look at the horse. So your dad is involved in this.
The horse ignores you.
Does the horse at least try to help? That would be curious.
It's like that is doing what you've asked him to do.
Then it's still getting. We are just here to get 1/3 of the family back to the other 2/3.
Why? It's, why
you don't have to deal with the 2 sisters who are desperate to have the 3rd one back. You don't care about siblings, do you? At least it seems like what I heard from Hell.
Okay, good point. Oh, on a 0-6, okay. You notice, because that was a roll for you, when you use the word sibling, his eyes change color and flash red for a second. Let's see if we can...
The thing is, Alice uses now her anger. She has now someone to point it at because it's his freaking fault. We are in this situation because of him. And what she read about Loki is not positive, to say the least.
This wench deserves everything that she's
Excuse me? She's a lovely lady, just as her 2 sisters.
Oh, I happen to know that you have had run-ins with the sisters and that there's no love lost between the 3 of you.
That's stupid. They saved my life.
Well, and one of them also looks like you, and you had a dispute about what you call it, lipstick?
Yes, she stole my lipstick, although I have to admit it looks really good on her.
Stealing is
something
a
that
crime.
you know no, that's something that you know too well, doesn't it? And stop being so I'm missing the English word for schleimig.
Actually, it's slimy.
It's slimy. Stop being so slimy. I don't buy this.
Oh. That hurts.
Such an actor. Such an actor. And a
Milady.
good one.
I
Again,
am your
we are-
loyal servant. Tell me what you would like me to do and I will do it.
We just want to have her back with
Except
and we will leave.
that.
Then we don't have a deal. There's nothing else. We will get her out of this and we will leave with her.
But why? What is she to you? She's not even part of your Judeo-Christian worldview. That's
You
what
know
you call
that
it, isn't
our
it?
world is slowly dying because you have her. You are killing all of us. You are killing them, pointing towards Asgard direction. You are killing
No,
your
but-
siblings, and
But
you are
it is
killing
the opposite. I am keeping them alive. With her in this position, no one needs to die. Ragnarok
don't-
isn't going to happen because
She will
for-
just snip. She will just snip and try to stop him. She will be not nice to let him speak. You have no idea what you're doing, right? You are killing every single human on Earth, which means you will vanish with all of them because there's no one left to believe
Oh,
in
so
you.
now it's suddenly about you, and I thought it was about her. No, it's about you. You. It is always about you, and it is always about my brothers. It is always about my father, or stepfather, I should say, and my
It's
stepmother.
always
It is never
about-
about me. It is always about, oh, look, Loki.
all the
go and
stories go around you and your selfishness. All the stories our ancestors
Selfishness.
wrote.
Do you know what this is? And he looks around. Do you know what this place is?
A big mistake that should have never happened.
This
Based
is
on
my-
the stories I read.
This is my birthright. I should be ruling here. I should be ruling all of the Jötuna. And where are they now? They are all dead because my dad killed them all.
And what does she have to do with that? She did not kill them.
Well, you know what? All of my life, I've always been the other one. Oh, we don't want to pay the other giants for building Odin's castle. Oh, Loki, devise a plan to make sure we don't have to pay. We promised them our daughter, but we don't want to part with her now. So, Loki, come up with a plan. Oh, Loki, now we don't need you anymore because we've got Balder, the golden child. Oh, Loki, you know, we could use a plan to fight against the guys in Niflheim. Loki, come up with something. It is always
While he talks, Alice would put her hand on his arm.
He looks at your hand and he stops talking.
I am really sorry what your family, especially your father, did to you. Based on the stories I've read, this is all a big mistake and it should never have happened. But again, it's not her fault. It's not humankind's fault. At least not the current humankind, because we did not create the stories that you have to live through.
make a psychology roll, please.
Alice now tries to be charming, at least friendly. Oh, that.
Or would
that
you
is
like to
good.
do fast talk instead, whatever is higher? If you're trying to...
Psychology is always much higher. So
Okay.
psychology would be a critical success, and fast talk would be a success.
You look at him
And she sincerely means that. She's really
you-
sorry.
and you notice something. Yes, he is angry, but this is more anger born out of pain than anything else.
Yeah. I get that you're hurt. Family sucks. I can tell a lot about family that sucks. And people that are close to you that hurt you the most. They're all very good at it. And it seems like gods are no exception to that. But again, you are dooming everyone with this?
Even
the innocents.
He turns around, he looks back at the city of giants, of frost giants that you've just come through, and he sits down, kind of beaten, stretches his legs out before him.
Could Alice put her blanket or her coat that she has, like, around his shoulders?
And he puts his... And he's got his back towards you now. So he's now, you can see that he seems to be putting his hands in front of his face. And you can hear light sobbing, very quietly, coming from him.
You know that maybe not in this world, but in our world, a lot of people know your stories and learn of your stories. To not cause that much pain that was done to you.
He lifts his head and looks in the distance, and he takes his thumbs and brushes over his eyes, and he says, "If I let her go, it'll all start again, and again, and again, and again. I just wanted all to end. And the way to end it is to prevent her from crying.
But
Because
it
if
will
she
end
cries...
everything and everyone, every living being will be gone.
And why should I care about them if nobody cares about me? I'm a tool.
Again, that's your family. It doesn't mean that people on Earth don't care. They tell your stories, they study your stories. I know it doesn't matter here, but for us it matters.
And what do they say about me? I'm the thief. I'm the liar. I'm the trickster.
Because your family made you and pushed you into that direction. Your father is a bigger liar than anyone. On all the Nordic stories I've read, he's the biggest liar and deceiver.
Yes, and I'm not even related to him, and I'm grateful for this. But do they ever talk about the love that I feel for my wife? Do they ever talk about the love that I feel for my children? No, they don't. It's never been written down. And I love them dearly, every single one of them. But what did Odin do to my firstborn? He tied him up. The secondborn he threw into the great waters, and the third one is now guarding Hale. I've never seen my children, not these ones.
Hale is doing quite fine, I can tell you.
Is she?
She's...
I was always wondering. She was the youngest, and I was most afraid for her.
I think she manages the situation quite well. It was quite nice to talk to her. The one who's suffering is the snake, all alone. Very lonely. Like, honestly, every single one of you seems to be lonely here. Everyone is suffering. I am very sorry for what my forefathers have thought about. I honestly can't get behind the insanity they created. The question is there another way to change it? We can't change the stories written in the past. Question is there a way to change it for the future?
He looks at you and he says, "So you're dying?"
Earth is drying out. It will take a little bit, but I think maybe the next generation still be there, the generation after that not. And you are ending all other deities as well, even those who have nothing to do with Asgard, Jotunheim, and so on.
You can see that he's brimming up again. And he takes your hand and he says, if I let her go, will you tell them that it was me who saved you?
Yes.
And he gets up and he walks towards the tree, and he puts both hands against it and it starts to melt, and quickly. But interestingly enough, it's not like you would expect that water starts rushing down. It's more like the water goes
Vanishes.
into the ground. And the old woman, opens her eyes, and she takes in the scenery before her. And of course she sees Loki because he's just like very much in front of her. She opens her arms, she embraces him, and she starts crying. And he starts crying on her shoulder, and out of her eyes well oceans. And you notice that if you don't move quickly, you will be drowning. What do you do?
I'll definitely grab Dottie. And Horsey still standing there?
Yes, and he's watching this whole thing, and he's looking at you very interestedly, as if he's trying to find out what you want him to do.
We need to leave Dottie. Come on. I will try to get her up the horse.
You manage,
And we'll
not a
follow.
problem?
Yeah, and I will follow and nicely put my heels in Horsey, like we need to get out of here quickly. But she would then look down and would look at Loki, basically. Thank you. And if I see any of your kids again, I will tell them that you love them dearly.
And basically, this old lady lifts her eyes and looks at you, and she nods. But it seems like a tear streaming from her eyes is the normal way she looks. I mean, it's not like she seems sad. It's just that she's constantly crying. And then, yeah.
It's a question if the horse moves, but she would still look at the third sister, and she would just tell your sister she can keep the lipstick. She will give her a smile, and
She
the idea is
smiles.
that the horse should...
Are you thinking of where you want to go?
Yes.
And where do you want to go? What are you thinking? What is your destination?
At the moment, Alice is thinking about the edge where the big snake is.
Okay. You feel this whoosh of air. And whoosh again, and you are so basically between the forest and the water's edge, where Jörmungandr is still lying. And but she's awake now. It seems like she's noticed that something has changed. And she looks at you out of her very, very big, slitted pupils.
Alice would hop off the horse quite quickly. She would call out to our dwarves, like, it has been done, we need to talk to Odin. And she would walk over to the snake. And would
She looks at you.
place her hand on nose,
Yeah.
kind of, whatever is there. And she would just look at them. Your father is sorry that you have to suffer so much. He loves you very, very much.
The snake, the snake tears up. Apparently these kinds of snakes can cry, and she starts crying, and she says, no one has ever spoken to me like this before. I thank you.
I hope that you all can find at least a little bit of peace before everything starts over again.
She nods. And then Balin and Dwalin, let's see how they're doing. Balin at 75, of course, walks into a tree. So there's crashing. You hear Dwalin.
Balin, we've talked about this. Try to be stealthy or not wear the stealth cap at all. This is ridiculous. You're bringing shame down on our families.
And the two of them appear, take off their caps before you bow.
Miladies, you want to speak with the great Odin?
Yes.
Just get on the horse and tell him that you want to see his master. He will take you to him.
Okay. She will look at Dottie. Are you ready for this?
I don't think so, but I mean, are we ever?
Make another deity angry. Again.
You get on the horse.
Yeah.
You think, I want to see Odin.
Odin probably thinking of the castle as well, like a mix, because she suspects he's there.
And rushing of wind. And you are inside a large room. Well, it's not a room, it's a hall. On both sides of the hall, you see long tables at which are seated hundreds, and I'm talking about hundreds of men, fighting men with long beards, with blonde hair, eating, drinking, throwing daggers at each other, shouting insults probably. You don't really speak their language. There are also some people singing. And at the far end, and I mean, we're talking about a hall that is easily 300 meters long. At the very far end, you can see a throne. And on this throne is seated Odin. And to his left and right are chairs, and you see other people there. You also see Brunhilde. She's basically sitting next to one of those fighting men. And the two of them are, playing this game where you spread your fingers like this and then you take a dagger and they're having a great old time. So do you approach Odin?
Alice is so tempted to whistle again. She would be curious if the room can be still.
Then
She
try.
will not. No, she
You
won't.
won't? Okay.
But we will, if we can stay on the horse, we will stay on the horse and move forward towards where Odin is sitting.
And that actually is a very interesting sound effect, because you're on flagstones now, and the hall is really big, so it's reverberating, so you can hear the echoes of 8 hooves. It's quite loud. People are taking notice of you. Some of them are basically stopping in mid-chew, kind of going.
Brunhilde will get a smile and a nod.
Brunhilde takes her knife and throws it basically in the air and catches it and basically then waves at you with the knife. And you arrive at the throne of Great Odin, the All-Father. One-handed and one-eyed.
Alice will ask Dottie if she could give her the hand.
She does. She gives you the whole bag.
Alice will throw the bag at the feet of Odin.
Okay. He raises an eyebrow at you, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't take it as an insult. He's got himself under control.
We are still on the horse, just to mention that.
Yeah, so you're looking down on him, actually. He's sitting.
And Alice will, in a quite loud voice, that sure, definitely Odin, but at least the one around probably will hear as well. Alice will say, "It has been done. The great Loki helped us save everyone from your mistakes."
From my mistakes.
You are the most treacherous ones and lying ones of all of them. You triggered all of this. I don't know how it can be changed after you all die and come back, which is still bizarre for me. But maybe a little tiny bit of you remembers that you are the cause. You are the butterfly that changes the world, not to the better.
I am the All-Father.
I'm not saying against that. That's what is written in the stories. But what is written in the stories is that you lie and you deceive. You hurt everyone around you. You don't care about the people around you. That is what triggers all of this.
"37. He's still keeping his composure. Make a psychology roll."
Come on, dice. It's a success.
What is Alice aiming for? Do you want to get a rise out of him? Do you want him to grovel? What would you like him to do?
I think Alice would be interested if he even cares. She has quite the feeling he doesn't care about anyone than himself. Also, again, based on the little bits and pieces of stories that she read, he's never a good figure in the stories that she has in mind, especially not the stories linked to Loki in this case, or in anything around that, or Jotunheim and everything that happened. So she just wants to see if there's something there. Or if I'm just a mere human and he doesn't really bother.
You've come to my home, and you have helped me. You have helped everyone, and I thank you for it.
I did not help you. I helped all the others.
He inclines his head. You have helped all the others, which means Balder will rise, Ragnarok will come about, and everything will go as it should, as you and your kind decreed a long, long time ago. We're fulfilling the cycle. Unlike you, I cannot change the way I am.
We can't change your way as well. That's the problem. We would love to, but we can't.
Having said this, this has never happened before.
It will happen again if you don't try to change something. He was able to change something, so you can as well.
Maybe the fact that you have come, maybe the fact that all of this has happened has changed something. But we will not know until the end has come.
Alice will just nod and basically... She can't look... Well, she looks at Dottie, but Dottie is in front of her, so it's quite difficult. Can they bring us back? Just looking at the horse. We want to go home now.
Feel free to decide where you want to go. You will be there. And safe.
She will look at Dottie. Do we take home or the place we left?
I leave that up to you. I'm just the prophet. You're the guide.
Alice will think of sunshine and warmth and a cave that we were adventurously let down into and water around our feet.
Before you go, I can take one thing off you. If she does not want to be a prophet anymore, I can take this away from her.
And Alice will just whisper at Dottie, that is your decision, darling.
On her 11, she's so delighted. She says, yes, I would rather not be a prophet anymore. I don't think I'm cut out for this. And he looks at her and he says, I don't think I've ever seen a human that has been more cut out for it. And he gets up and he places his right forefinger between her eyebrows and closes his one eye. And you feel that Dottie shivers for a second. And he says, "Milady," and he bows to Dottie and he looks at you, "Milady," and he bows to you. "It's been an honor."
Alice will not answer to that. She would just blankly probably look over her shoulder towards Brunhilde, or she will even have a peek. I'm not sure if the dwarves would be around. Probably
The
not.
dwarves
because
are
there's-
there. The dwarves are
Then-
there. They have
then-
appeared in the meantime.
Then she would look at the dwarves, especially, and she would look at them. "It was an honor to have met you two."
They bow and they say, "It was an honor to have met the guide and the prophet." "Former prophet," says Balin, and Dwan is like, "Shh!" And then you feel the rushing of wind again, and then it ceases, and then it happens again, and you are, this time without the horse, up to your knees in the almost dried out cenote, and you are exploring and you are finding things because since the water level has dropped so much, so dramatically, you can now reach to the bottom, and you see that people have thrown in gold figurines and jade figurines, but also things like daggers, spoons, everyday offerings to, appease the gods, ask for rain. And you do what was then normal. You just start collecting. You pick up everything and you basically take it to be brought up and be
Two questions.
catalogued.
When we're back there with water around our feet and knees, do we remember what happened?
Yes, absolutely. You remember every single thing.
I think Alice would freeze for a second and would see... Is anyone coming down from upstairs? Does she hear something up? Because she left with yelling.
You hear, but then you hear the voice saying, "I can see them. Are you in need of help?"
Well, yes and no. There's a lot to collect, so a few more hands might be good.
We'll lower some baskets first.
She will give thumbs up.
Baskets are being lowered.
And I think then she will just take a second to give Dottie the biggest bear hug that she has to offer.
And Dottie hugs you, bear hugs you right back, and she says, "I think that maybe now this is over. We've met all three of them."
There are a lot of gods out there, darling.
But maybe the other ones don't really care about us. I mean, my god doesn't care about me, we know this.
Well, we are not sure about that.
Let's not try and find out. He's good where he is.
Also, highly doubt it was the last we've seen of the three.
Well, I certainly hope not. I hope that they come, grovel before you, and apologize, and maybe give you a gift basket or something.
They will not apologize.
But maybe give you the gift basket?
We don't need gifts from gods. The only gift would be just to leave us alone, which they are not able to do, as we learned.
Well, it's because of your magnetic personality, I'm sure.
I think it's our magnetic personalities.
She smiles and she says, "Well, I wasn't doing half bad as a prophetess, wasn't I?"
You were a very good prophet, much better than I would have ever been.
That's why you're the guide.
I may say my idea of deities has not gone up. They are just... The dwarves are quite nice. I like the two. I like those two.
They are lovely, aren't they?
Hmm.
Unfortunately, they don't really get that much airtime in the stories.
Well, maybe one day someone will write a story about dwarves that everyone will love.
Maybe.
And then we start like
The quest
probably...
of Balin and Dwalin.
And their siblings. I think they're more, as far as we understood, right? They have
Well, I
more.
believe that they are more, yes.
A whole gang of dwarves. Having an adventure.
12 of them.
Finding something or so. That might be interesting.
There and back again.
And then probably by accident Alice just her toe plonks against something that she will pick up, whatever it is, a figure or a dagger or something. And then I think the two will start to work on that.
On a 0-1, I kid you not, you pick up the figurine of a god.
Alice is very tempted to throw it away. She will place it in the basket.
Okay. So you do some more collecting. After a while, then they ask you to get into the harness and they lift you up, and then some of them go down. So basically you can do a switch over, and because at this stage you are also quite hungry. In this time you have been down there for 3 hours. In what you have seen, it's been a lot longer. You're not feeling hungry because whatever they gave you has lasted. So you were fed and that was fine. But you also haven't slept in a long time, in your reckoning.
At least it's warm here. We don't
It
have
is
to
very
freeze
warm.
our butts off anymore.
Make a luck roll.
God. That is not the right dice, Victoria. That is definitely a success with a 42.
You sit there, it's just the two of you. And everybody else is working. You're kind of sitting a little bit to the side. When you look up, and you're pretty sure that you can see something you've only ever seen in stone. Because in the crowns of these beautiful trees, you see a winged serpent, a feathered serpent. It looks down on you. and then
Panically grabbing Dottie like, no, not another one.
And Kukul Khan nods at you. He probably gives you his blessing for trespassing in his realm and slowly but elegantly undulates away.
I hope you saw that too, Dottie.
I did. I thought he was a myth.
So much for deities, not...
But he was beautiful.
Scary.
And beautiful.
She will carefully release her hand. Walking on to Dottie.
You've left a mark.
Yeah, definitely. Alice was not positively impressed by this. She was scared.
And after a while, basically everybody comes up and camp is broken. You walk back to where you live for this, to your tent city. And at the edge of the city, of the tent city, Maeve is already sitting, waiting at the path, basically pacing up and down, looking. And when she sees you, she runs towards you, bounces off your leg, climbs up, and lands in your arms. And basically she doesn't even start purring, but she basically gets up on her hind legs, her front legs on your collarbones, and basically just looks at you. And you can see in the face, it's like, what were you thinking? I was worried about you. That's that look.
Alice will give her a little scritch, and then hand her over to her mom.
Same thing. She scratches her between the ears and then hands her back to you.
We did not choose this, sweetheart.
Her eyes tell you that she doesn't believe a single word you're saying.
Well, I did not choose this, to make this clear. This one, on the other hand.
Maeve looks at Dottie and basically just shakes her head in disapproval.
Well,
And then she
quite
basically
sure-
purrs at your shoulder.
it will start raining not too long in the future. We'll give Maeve some scritches. And I am tired as hell.
So the two of you make your way to your tent.
We will excuse ourselves from the others. It was an exciting day, but we need some rest.
Yeah, the others are a little bit exhausted as well, not as badly as you are, because for them, you know, like climbing down a cenote and stuff isn't exactly new. For you, it was. And the two of you go back to your tents, to your tent. So, what do you want to do?
Sleep.
Okay.
Not
So,
dream. Just sleep.
You get ready for bed. You lie down. Maeve curls up next to you. She starts purring very loudly. You listen to the purring and you close your eyes. You fall asleep and you don't dream. And we shall leave it here. It's been a short story, but it's, I think, a good place to finish.
It has been. Thank you so much for the little party in the Nordic mythology.
And yeah, and in 2 weeks' time, we will come back with a denouement, because you will have to go back to New York at some point.
Yes.
And then we will see what we will do. And until such time, we wish you all an excellent start into the new year. And thanks for your continued support. And we will talk to you again in 2 weeks.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.